Volume photographers, you want to offer your clients an elevated experience? Let's get to it. What's up, everyone? My name is Sal Sincata. Welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Today, we are going to talk about the dance between boutique, just keep saying boutique and volume, how successful photographers balance experience and profit. So look, volume business usually chases efficiency, but when it comes to a boutique experience, we're trying to offer our clients that elevated experience, hopefully leading to better sales and things along that line. I think it's something that every photography studio struggles with. So we've got an awesome panel today. We've got Jeff Edwards, Robin Tholen, and David Drum from H&H. Guys, introduce yourselves.
I'm Robin Tholen. I own KC Kids Photo out of Kansas City. We do lots of child cares and preschools and some private Catholic schools.
And I'm David Drum from H&H Color Lab, head of business and product development.
I'm Jeff Edwards from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I operate a volume senior and school portrait business.
All right, so guys, let's obviously this is a conversation all photographers have, whether it's portrait photographers or volume photographers, but specifically for volume, you guys are always chasing efficiency. So Jeff, I want to start with you. Where have you intentionally added boutique touch inside the volume workflow?
We're trying to bring better quality photos, better photography. I think what we're hearing from customers is they're looking for good value buying volume photography, but they also want good quality. And if we can provide good quality photos with good lighting, good posing, great expressions, rather than the old line them up and photograph them one at a time and bang, in 30 seconds you're gone, I think we'll see bigger sales.
So to that point, Jeff, is what you're adding more time with each kid? Like, how do we quantify what you're adding?
Well, actually, it's a combination of things. It's more time because it takes more time to pose them, right? We may be posing them more creatively, so that'll take a little bit more time. And then working to get that expression, trying to get a couple of good expressions. So all of it combines for more time. But the beauty part is photographing digitally, it's kind of sped up our processes as opposed to film. So we're kind of gaining back that time that we gave up when we jumped to digital and just started going bang, 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 bang.
Right. That's awesome. Dave, I'll come back to you to hear just like what you're seeing our customers do. But Robin, where have you intentionally added something as a boutique touch inside the volume workflow?
I would say everything I do is boutique touch. We do, at the preschools and daycares, we do a minimum of 10 to 15 poses is what I want the girls to have.
Per kid?
Yes. It goes fast because we let them jump around. I mean, we have a very structured pose flow. And then even at my grade schools, my yearbooks, I do at least 4 to 6. But they're standing on a mat. It's very fast posing. And then in the spring, we do non-uniform, and we're doing about 4 to 6 there too.
Okay. But what I'm hearing, and again, I'm the lay person here as a portrait photographer, what I'm hearing the two of you say is, from a volume perspective, the number one thing you can do to make it a little bit more boutique is give the kids a little bit more time in front of that camera.
Yes.
You would agree with that?
Yes.
David, are we seeing anything else like across all our customers? Is there anything you have seen be successful that they're adding?
Yeah, I think it depends on a few factors that influences the level of elevated experience that you can give in a volume photography situation. One is, what will the organization allow you for time, right? Some schools, if you have 800 kids you need to photograph before lunch, you've got to fit within that time, so you may be limited. Other organizations are willing to take a little bit more time for portraits or for school picture or sports pictures rather, and so you can spend a little more time. Then once you have a little more time, then you can start doing some things with multiple poses. You can do things with music. You can do things that we're hearing people doing with different lighting setups. In fact, we were brainstorming yesterday about how can you use some creative multi-shot lighting where the lighting can change after each exposure that can give many more poses within a very short period of time. So I think there's some of the old masters like the Joe Craigs back in the day that really taught mastering lighting and then just setting the school setup to be phenomenal lighting. I think the technology is now starting to catch up with that, to where there's some opportunity moving forward to give much better, more variety of lighting and posing in a short period of time. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
This actually came up yesterday when we were filming one of the podcasts, where Westcott now has a technology. What's it called?
Mask mode.
It's called mask mode. And they sent it to me as a portrait photographer, and I was kind of like, I don't get it. And then it came up with the volume guys yesterday on the podcast. I'm like, this is perfect for you guys, because what it allows you to do is you can set up the light, and you can set up multiple modes for it to fire. Meaning, maybe you want to take a high key portrait, then you want to take a low key portrait, then you want the third shot to have gels on it without moving your lights, without changing any of the setups. And that's now built into software in their strobes. And I thought, man, that's a great fit for you guys.
Huge opportunity there. And I think that's worth some consideration in some of the volume shows, not just preschool, but really, you think of Media Day for sports.
That's where it came up. It was really around Media
yes.
Day, because they were pushing back going, well, we can't walk in on a true like college or NFL Media Day where we've got 8 light setups, right? That's too expensive to do. I was like, well, this usually one light set, but this mask mode really does it. So I think you guys should look at that and figure out how it can help. But just listening to what you're saying and what you're saying, Dave, I think that's a good fit.
I want to say one thing about that. I think the volume guys worry so much about one photographer for every 300 kids. My thinking, it doesn't have to take longer necessarily at the school. I might add in one more crew. You know what I mean? So that crew might cost me $80 or whatever, but I can now charge over $100 for the packages.
So just scale with
it's
an
just-
extra crew.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that.
If you're going to do that, if you're going to try to go more boutique and take some time, you as the provider to the school need to know what that time frame is going to be, and then scale out accordingly. So maybe if I normally do that school with 3 cameras, I might have to go 4 or 5, but I'm still going to give myself the time to create those images to allow me to try to get as best sale as possible.
And we also hear some of the businesses that shy away from that higher end experience really hesitate because they aren't sure how to train photographers to carry that out. And one of the concerns that I have is that with all the technology that we have for background extraction, for glass glare removal, for all these other things that you can do in post, that we're going to give up that experience that the students are going to have and the children are going to have in front of the camera, and our expressions will suffer because they're not being treated well, because we're just going to fix it all in post.
Well, and parents look at their kids and they can tell right out of the gate, like that's not, his or hers real smile, of course. All right, so Robin, I'm going to come to you with the next question. What experience upgrade actually paid for itself instead of just adding more work?
I was going to kind of go a route of something I did this year. I found a girl that has like a traveling bus. So I gave the experience of, it was a Christmas pop-up at the grade school. So during the teacher's lunch hour, she was there for 2 hours. They did a hot cocoa bar. I met her at the school with all kinds of treats, and we did a whole spread for the teachers. I didn't have to stand there and do anything. It was $150. They got unlimited. So for $150, those teachers, I mean, I got emails. They were telling my daughter how much they loved it. She goes to the school. So I did it for 3 more schools. It was
it's a no-brainer.
Very cost effective. I didn't have to take time and do it, and they loved it.
But I love the thoughtfulness of that. Like, did you bring something really fun to the teachers like that?
I asked the principals, I'm like, can you let them have a dress down day? So they had a jeans day. It was right before Christmas break. So,
but that all lends to the experience, right? Like, I think I've always said this, and I stand by it. People want to do business with people they like, right? Mm-hmm. So as a business owner myself, there's plenty of clients out there, and my clients have plenty of options that they can work with. If they don't like you on a personal level, you'd be the smartest guy in the world. There's always going to be this apprehension. But if they love working with you, you're giving back, you're going above and beyond. Yeah, maybe you're a little bit more expensive, but you're like a known entity at that point, right?
Exactly.
And there's mutual appreciation. So I love that you did that. Jeff, what about yourself? What experience upgrade actually paid for itself versus just adding more work?
I think for us, it was adding more poses, doing a better job. We're kind of more of the big volume kind of company, so we're used to 400, 500, 600 kids at a time. So we didn't do quite what you do. But I think it was just adding those things and taking our time and really working with our staff to improve our quality.
Yeah, I like that. So, Jeff, just as a mental note, no hot cocoa for you and your customers.
No hot cocoa.
No
for
hot
us.
cocoa.
Donuts. We take donuts.
Donuts,
for the
all right.
teachers.
I can get behind some donuts.
Yeah.
David, any stories from the field on what we've seen?
Yeah, I think what we find is that our smaller volume customers typically will think more about the higher experience. They'll start with maybe a small private school and provide some of their studio kind of experience and lighting. And as they grow, they sometimes people struggle to scale that. And sometimes they take it with them. And then there's some outliers out there, people that have based their whole volume business around a very high-end, very differentiated experience. You think of the Neil Frieds and the Stomping Grounds and guys like that that have really scaled that part of the business and
In the
really set an
schools?
example in the schools. Yeah.
What's an example of that? Like where, because you're saying they've built their entire business on this like high-end experience. What's that look like?
Well, they're selling that they are not Life Touch. They're like, if you want that experience, go to a high volume portrait person. That's not what we do. We're going to take the time with each child, each student, and get extra poses.
That's the selling point.
Yeah, and I think the other piece is being clear about what the purpose of fall pictures are and what the purpose of spring pictures are. You know, fall, you're going to photograph everybody so you can get in the yearbook. And that may need to be a different experience versus spring where you're only photographing buyers, so you have more time to do multiple poses and selling in a different way and give an elevated experience. That's been around for 50 years doing it that way.
Nice. Jeff, I'm going to come back to you here. Where kind of flip gears here. Where did you try to be too premium and it kind of backfired on you? Hurt efficiency, hurt margins. What'd you experiment with over the years?
Well, we experimented with retouching every image. And we kind of dialed that back to retouching the ones that we thought were necessary in the staff. So obviously you take your production time and start adding retouching to everything. It's quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
The other thing we did is we kind of pushed too far on some of our other services that we provide, like for group photos and things. We tried to come up with some really creative, different kind of big setup stuff, and it didn't return.
Would that be for like doing teams or staff?
Teams, classroom groups, that type of thing. I think we did some really neat things. I don't think it had an impact on the people that we were serving.
The ROI wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying too, because I think a lot of times business owners are afraid to experiment and fail, but I think failing is part of the process. Robin, what about yourself? Where did you try and add, you tried to go too premium, right? Maybe too much hot cocoa and it backfired on you.
I wouldn't say that things I've done have backfired, but what you do have to be ready for is I love, like in the spring, I'll alternate and Neil does the outdoor photos. And once they get something that they love, they're going to ask for that over and over again. And it is kind of hard, hard to shoot those and hard to,
Meaning you did something that there wasn't a whole bunch of ROI on, but now they love it, so they're hooked on it?
I would say it had the same averages, but it is harder to shoot outside. A lot more variables, but now you can't go back because
So you don't have the same margins, to your point.
Exactly.
Dave, what have you seen, again, in our customers from the field? Any common threads?
Yeah, I think what a common mistake we see people make is they don't practice it ahead of time. And it takes longer than they think. And then they kind of get in trouble when they get to the school. They're like, hey, look, you got to wrap it up. Like, we got classes to do here.
Right.
And so we love it when independents do experiments and then watch the sales and report back on those things. But man, you got to practice that ahead of time and have a way of accelerating during the day to know that, hey, we're running behind. It's time to pick up the pace and shift a little bit during the shoot. Yeah,
that's actually, it's funny you say that. That reminded me of something. We went to a Michelin restaurant, and this Michelin restaurant, they were seasonal. And so I don't know if I know you've eaten at high-end restaurants, but like they'll have a tasting menu. That's like my favorite thing to do, right? Chef's tasting menu. And this particular restaurant we went to, it was day one of their new menu, and they would not allow us to do anything outside of what was on the main menu. And I was like getting irritated by it, right? And then I said something to the waiter. I'm like, I just don't get it, right? Because it's a high-end restaurant. He's like, yeah, let me explain it to you in a way that'll make sense. This is literally the kitchen's first day doing this. He goes, so we have not had a chance to practice this. He goes, so we're using this time, the first week of the new menu, to get acclimated to the process, to the plating, to the on and on and on. I was like, oh, okay.
So they kept it simple while they were
Exactly.
learning it.
Right.
And so they got in a rhythm.
No
I love that.
customizations, none of that stuff. And that makes sense, right? It's just kind of resonating. Like you just throw your staff into something day one, they're going to be like, everything's going to be a mess. Yeah. All right, last question. Jeff, let's come back to you on this. Or did I give you the last question first? No. We came to you first?
I don't remember.
That's right.
Do
She
it.
loves being first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with you, Robin. How do you personally decide when something's good enough versus exceptional? And you and I were talking about this offline, right? Photographers are notorious for sitting there and obsessing over dials, right? Like, just needs one more tick of green, one more tick of magenta. It should be 5250 Kelvin, not 5300.
I am not like that.
Okay.
We use an expo disc, once a meter, we're good. And I think just being in the volume industry in preschools, it gears you up to have to do that baby's going to cry. They're going to be mad. You have to roll with the punches on that. So, I mean,
So what's good enough?
good enough is if you can get the baby that's been crying just to not be crying.
Right.
That's a win with some of them.
Yeah.
So I would say my good enough is that barometer's low with the little kids,
Low
with
with
the
the little
preschool.
Can I get their eyes open? That's all I care about.
Exactly.
Jeff, how about yourself? What is, where are we obsessing as artists? Like just a little too much? Where's good enough in your opinion? And if you're giving advice to other photographers, where would you tell them to just like, dude, let go of that?
For me, it's the customer. What I've learned over the course of our business is, as we were talking about the other day, my type A personality would keep me from maybe putting out some product or doing some things because it wasn't what I
Perfect.
really wanted. But the reality is I learned to put it in front of the customer. And if I had any question about it, I'd put it in front of our office people who are not photographers.
Right.
And get their feedback first. And then if they thought it was okay, we'd pass it to the customer. And ultimately let the customer tell me.
Yeah. I think there's nothing better than speed to market, right? So I'd rather have something at 80% than 99% and never in the marketplace, right? You got to get it out there.
And of course, our attitude was if the customer wasn't happy, we were going to do whatever we had to do to make them happy, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it's not like it's really a lose.
Right.
It's a learning situation, whatever that is, but let the market tell you what's going on as opposed to having your own false beliefs that might be driving some things that you do.
Yeah. Dave, I want you to add a different perspective here. As a lab, you guys are in the business of production non-stop, right? Creating new products, right? Product development, tweaking products, testing products for longevity. From a production perspective, what insight can you give us on this? And I know this is a subject you are well-versed in.
Yeah, this is because we have customers that are everyone who's selling a school picture package for as low as $20 to people that are reselling our products for $10,000. It is such a wide range of their brand that our products represent. And that makes what we do really pretty challenging because the price point is very sensitive on a lot of these products, but if they're marking it up 10 or 20 times, they want it every detail to be perfect. So when we're doing product development, something that we've had to kind of learn the hard way because we had some false starts of products that we came to market with at a price point that, our business customers will say, look, I love this product. There's no way I can mark that up and make any money at this. So we kind of went to, you'll notice at a lot of the shows, we'll have a table with prototypes on it. And we'll have the product, we'll have some information about it, and we have a price. The price is so important on there. We say, hey, do you like this? If you just say, do you like it? People always say, yeah, you could get this corner a little better, whatever. But if you say, would you like this for $75?
Right.
They go, you get a different part of the brain kicking in and say, well, I mark it up this, and I would include it in my initial sale, or it'd be a gift that I would use this for. And so that dialogue, when you see their wheels turning at the shows face to face, we know no one's going to mark this up and include it in their base sales. It's going to be a gift. Or this is going to replace the wall art that they offer as their fundamental product, and it needs to have that full markup in it so they can make a living. So that dialogue in person, we get a lot of feedback. Kind of like you were saying, Jeff, it's our customer. It helps us so much. As long as we've been doing it, we still need their help.
Yeah, I think, again, as a customer of yours and products I use and I've seen behind the scenes, I always look at the products you're creating and I want to differentiate my studio from other studios. So I'm not really. I really just want good quality, fast change. Like I think the days of like just prints and canvas as a portrait studio, I can't differentiate myself that way because clients believe they can go to, and that's a whole different conversation, but they believe they can go to the big box stores or online, right, and get the same quality we're getting. And it's just not true, right? They're cutting corners. And I'll just tell this story and we'll wrap this up. I was doing a wedding. Client bought their engagement canvas from me, and they wanted to have it on display at the wedding. And in the package they were in, they had to buy product, and then they got digital files. So we show up at the wedding reception, and I get off the elevator, and there's 4 canvases on easels. Well, I only produced one of them. And so I just stopped dead in my tracks. 3 of the canvases that they bought from someplace else, you could see the light coming through the back of the canvas. That's how thin the canvas was. And then mine was like, perfect. The blacks were perfect. And I just stopped and I looked at it, and the groom looked at me and he goes, "Don't say another effing word to me." And we just moved on because he knew. Now the post-wedding sale was amazing because we had already established our quality. Anyway, so everybody, hopefully that's helped you, give you some insight into how to kind of balance boutique, the experience, and profitability into your business, and how to stand out from the crowd. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. And special thanks to Jeff, Robin, and David Drum for being here on the panel with us. Again, hopefully you got something. Got something out of this. We'll see you in the next video.